Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about these markets. Welcome, guys. How is it already Thursday? Wow. It's been quite the week already. We're going to break it all down for you. I'm Snorlax. You also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Max, Tucker, Jackus, and Dr. Will's Outlook. We had a lot happen in the last few days, right? I mean, we kind of knew it was going to be a busy week given everything that was happening with macro data. Jerome Powell speaking yesterday, but this week has certainly lived up to hype, right? I mean, yesterday we had an insane rally in equities after it had been bleeding over the previous few days, pretty much eaten up the entire downtrend of the last few days. Of course, today we're getting a bit of a pullback. We're going to talk about all of that and more, share all of our thoughts on kind of what we're seeing in the general markets. But before we can do that, guys, I'm going to ask if you can slam the like button for us. I used a different verb this time. I usually use smash. I don't know if you guys were getting sick of it or not, but either way, I'm hitting you with the slam this time. If you guys could slam that like button for us, we would be very, very appreciative. And as always, it means the world to us. We would not this channel growth would not be possible without you guys also showing up here every day. But to get into price, as I always say, on a bit more of a granular level, right? I mean, equities had an enormous pump yesterday, mostly fueled on the back of earnings. You had Nvidia popping about 10 to 15% in one daily candle. I don't think we've ever had a stock that large move that much in a single daily candle since probably Nvidia a few months ago. So that obviously fueled a 3% rally on the Qs. The S&P was up over 2% at one point yesterday. IWM as well, not to forget, was also rallying. And today it kind of makes sense that we're seeing a bit of a pullback in equity markets. But for crypto, it was kind of weird that we didn't pump yesterday, given the strength the equity markets were showing. But another thing that we talked about on this show kind of repeatedly is that the crypto and equity market correlation has been very unactionable as of late, right? Like when one is moved, the other one has just kind of completely ignored any volatility that was kind of being displayed in the other market for whatever reason, right? We can attribute a myriad of different reasons for why that is, but it's probably just as harmless as they're just not that correlated right now. But which direction is the true direction, right? What's going to play out over the next probably week and a half to 2 weeks of price? This is a critical level, I would say, for Bitcoin and ETH on the surface that you would want to see carve out a higher low. And I think that would be confluent with potentially stocks, having a harmless pullback after a ripper potentially yesterday set the bottom. But I'd love to talk about it all, guys. I'd love to debate it. What are we seeing in the markets today? How are we digesting? I mean, not just what Powell said yesterday, because I think it was he basically said they're cutting in September without saying it explicitly. And how are we digesting these moves in the market?
Well,
He wore a
IWM,
purple tie.
dude.
He wore a purple tie.
Yeah, that's true, Jacket. The purple tie worked again. That is true. But I literally just almost spit out my coffee when I opened this chart, man. That's ugly. I have faith it'll recover. I have blind faith in IWM. I do. I mean, this looks better, right? This looks better. It doesn't look fantastic, but not retracing the full pump from yesterday. Same with SPX. So I don't know. I think equities can hold. As long as you don't start seeing equities lose like yesterday's low or 2 days ago's low by Friday, then I think you're fine. But crypto's kind of a different story. I mean, Nvidia still looks okay, I think, too. But like, had this drawn out, like we really like this needs to get. We gotta hold this here, man, or else really, you just gotta hold this diagonal for me at least, right? I think if you even come down to like 62.5, I think you're fine. I'm just gonna delete this. Like, for me, you can come all the way down to here and you're fine, and do something like that. But if you come down here, that's where it gets ugly. And you do have the CME gap down here, right? Can you guys hear the lawnmowers?
No, you're good.
Oh, thank God. They're
a little.
I can
loud.
hear the
man.
chart getting ready to chat.
They are loud. The CME gap you got is right down about, we'll call it right here. So for me, it's kind of one of two things. If we're going to reverse, right, it's going to be this and just kind of drag along this diagonal, maybe like, get 62, 63, work your way back up. If not, though, if you lose 62, mid 62s, I think you're going to fill the gap most likely, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because I do have another line right here, which I like. So you could, you could do one of these, and then you double bottom. There it is. That's it. I'm gonna save that. I think that's the one, guys. I think that's the one. If we're gonna go down, right? That's because where we're at right now is kind of the last line, right? This 12-hour order block that I had drawn. Like, you can't hold these lows right here. If you can't hold like 63K, that's when I'd look for that to happen. But as of right now, I think we're good. I think we look fine, but equities just can't keep selling super hard. Like, we're gonna need IWM to probably reverse here soon.
I keep getting notifications from my stockbroker that all these stocks are like, oh, this stock is 5% down, this stock is 7% down, and this and that.
Yeah, that's when I get those from all my crypto apps too. Like Bing and Femax are just like blowing me up. I'm like, what is going on?
I get CoinGecko notifications.
CoinGecko?
Few,
very few. I don't even get CoinGecko notifications. Yeah, see, there it is for me on Pepe, man. We gotta. Also, who could have foreseen Max? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to have done this. It happened. It was unfortunate, but it did happen, It happened. Pepe pulled the ETH, man. Which means, which isn't, abandon all hope, right? Like, which means we're probably pretty close to a bottom on Pepe, if I had to guess. I'd say maybe if we're gonna run the ETH fractal, you come into like right there. But I think we're close. I think we're close to a bottom on Pepe. What do you guys think?
Well, sensing the sentiment around right now, I would like expect at least a bounce here, I think, soon. But yeah, I think, as I was warning, things are not looking pretty. There are so many risks on the table. And the market still, is giving lots of mixed signals. I do remain to be higher time frame bullish, like macro-wise, but locally, as I said, it can keep on selling. I would more than anyone want us to just start fucking sending to the upside. But right now, I'm still not seeing it.
All right. So at what price do you see it?
What do you mean, Will?
I guess that's the question. So everybody says it can just keep dumping. What's the next level of support?
Which pair?
Bitcoin.
Well, the next level for BTC is for sure like all these liquidity levels as we discussed, right? It's around like 62.2. Let me check. Yeah, it would depend on an exchange, but like around 62. That's a liquidity level BTC must hold, and if it doesn't like produce a sweep probably today, then like it must take these lows, right, and put an immediate bounce. That's like the first step for me.
Yeah, I mean, nonetheless, I feel like this is another one of those areas of confluence, and I'm gonna keep on like banging the table on it, but 25 to 30K range. I think people got very exhausted there, very tired of trading that range, and I think we're seeing something very similar between 60 and 70K. I don't even care. The 52K dip is really irrelevant because the majority of the price action has been above 60, almost all of it, and the majority of the price action has been below 70, right? And so that's your range, regardless of what people think about the dip down to 52. And with that being said, it's an exhausting range, it's a tiring range. And I think that to ignore that range and try to look for lower at these ranges where we are currently today, I think it's pointless. I think it's absolutely doesn't make any sense from a TA standpoint, from a structure standpoint, to look at anything lower unless structure can break again, right? And I think recapturing the range is very important here. I don't think that this is a deviation, bro, above the range and the pullback below because of the price activity and where it's remained in this price range between 60 and 70K. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that, but that's what I'm thinking with Bitcoin specifically.
Well, I was just looking at the dates, Will, and I will say that today officially marks the 5-month anniversary of how long we have spent in this effing range. So I think we can all agree that it's about time that we get some resolution out of the range, whether that be lower or higher.
Yeah, I agree on that.
I mean,
I think the time
people are
to leave
tired.
this range was around like end of May and beginning of June. Like that was the time to do a final retest and send higher. But like with the move we had, it kind of stopped the bullish momentum we had basically since August 2023. And I just think that the price structure has changed. And I do agree, like fucking send us from here, but and I do think that we're going to get sent really big until the end of the year. But like locally, it's that as I keep on saying, right? It's still, and I think that BTC is looking kind of well. It depends, right? Like again, there are so many views on this. So like, for example, if you're gonna look at ETH, I think locally from a daily structure, it's looking way worse than BTC. But if I look at, for example, on BTC from the weekly perspective, well then BTC created a lower low and secondary lower high that's in the making right now. So like from that point of view, ETH hasn't created that lower low, right? So like it's really, as you guys say, it's a range, but inside of this range, it's really just going to be lots of stop runs, lots of fuckeries. And I think the real, and I was saying this, right? Like I still do remain skeptical of any upside within the range until we hit the hard time frame support. Because what I've noticed in the chart and when I got harmed before is when you see price doing like a bull flag, then it breaks out of it, right? But the bottom of that bull flag didn't come from any hard time frame support, and usually at that point the price tends to do a fake breakout and then come back to the hard time frame support. I think silver was a great example of that lately.
I don't know. This looks so much better than either of these, though. You know what I mean? Like in hindsight, this was such a clear and this was just kind of a blow off. Like I don't know. Like
But like that was the top, Tucker. I do not think the top is in, right?
I
Like
know.
we have printed a local top surely on March. And back then I was also saying that, right? Like we had the freaking 7 monthly candles in a row. And I was saying like this has only happened single time in history. Anyways, I think like this reaccumulation is super healthy, and the market is still like very undervalued longer term. But like locally, it's still not what it needs to be. I think that should we like by any chance from here, right? Like I think the ideal scenario we can hope for a bullish momentum right now is that we see sweep of these lows, right? Like we will see BTC to sweep this 63k low and the 2 point something close, and then we see a strong buyback by the end of the day. Like if it happens this day, that would be just ideal. And then you see a continuous strength, right? Like because you can get a bounce and then it just rolls over again. So if you're gonna get that bounce from here, and then the price trades to like let's say 60 above 67 and stays there, that's bullish. You get bullish. You front run the bullishness at 67 above 67, in my opinion.
See, my only thing with, because I know the comparison, like not even by you guys, by like people on Twitter, has been made to 2019 or whatever. Which like excluding COVID, it's like, yeah, like that's not that terrible, I guess. But like just time wise, it just, you know what I mean? Like we've been here way too long for this to have been like a,
Draw the timing from the top,
know?
Tucker. From the top. I think that could be an interesting one. Because I think like we are not that far, right?
I mean, this is the top of here. That was 90 days. This is like what, almost
No.
double?
Do that 140 days from top on the right side. On the right
What?
chart. 140 days on the right. You get where I'm getting? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if this is the thesis and you're here, you wouldn't go much lower. Like, are you saying like this is this?
Basically.
Pretty much. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. And so you'd like do this.
Like notice, right? On the right side, in that G-Shink pump, you could also think like, hey, we got market structure break there, right? Like you could think that. But it created a lower high, and then you got that full stack JIT lower, and that's where lots of people, I remember back then, were thinking like bear market started, and that was the bottom. And if it were not for COVID, I think the market would be sending like it would be a steadily in a bull market kind of way. So something like that. Yeah, I like that.
Just cut that out. Wait, that might not be the right one.
I think if it were not for COVID back then, I think the bull market for BTC would be more healthier and steadier. Instead, you got like COVID, then you got that longest reaccumulation until like November.
Yeah,
and then you just got to shoot up.
Yeah, it's probably more like you can just paste that over here. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, for me,
let me know when you're done, Tucker. I'm gonna come in and cover.
I know. For me, like if this is like the bear case and this is like the worst case, I'm just thinking like to myself, like, would I just eat that? If this is what's coming, right? Like, maybe, like, I might just eat this, eat that drop. I don't know. If that's what comes next, like, I truly don't care. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Like if you're gonna get that drop on BTC that you have marked on the left side, that's where you shove in.
Yeah. So basically, go ahead.
Because nothing has changed from like the bull thesis for BTC, in my opinion. Like BTC has never been more bullish, but you can get a lot, fuckery. You can get like shorter term fuckery. You get the same with gold. You get the same with lots of other charts, and BTC can just like do this. I know it's annoying. Like, listen, we all want like establish regulatory clarity, send BTC higher, trigger the alt season. We all do want that. I do want that. But I've been just long enough in the charts to know that they can postpone it a little longer.
Yeah. Let's just do this.
And when I say alt season, I mean the alt BTC pairs.
Yeah.
Like right now, BTC is sweeping those lows, right? If like ideally, you want to see this daily candle end up being a pin bar or hammer from here after sweeping these lows by the end of the day. If bullish from here. And you would need to see ETH. I still say that ETH needs to flip 3.5K.
I don't know. I don't structurally think that you have to see another puke, man. I'm still in the camp that this could turn into a IHS. I'm just not in the camp of another dump back down to the lows. Like, how many times did the fake people out before it's not a fake out?
I hope that just one more time.
Would you survive this, Anon? That's
that move right there is what everybody's praying for right now, Jack. That's after they watch 52K completely retrace the entire move.
I do not think so.
Higher on that.
I've talked to a lot of people.
What did you say?
The upside target on Bitcoin for that needs to be higher. I just want to say, I mean, NVIDIA put on, I mean, I don't even know how much in market cap yesterday. And we're talking about, or at least like, you know, the general consensus among crypto participants is that there will be diminishing returns for Bitcoin eventually. I just think, given that NVIDIA effectively put on what, like 2 trillion in one day, what's that going to mean for Bitcoin when we are in an actually like truly risk on environment for crypto?
Yeah. I mean, this was what is it, the NVIDIA fractal that we were all looking at or no, it was the NASDAQ, wasn't it? I'm just entertaining, guys. I'm still bullish here, but I'm just entertaining. Okay.
Does anybody here think that this is just the first trading session of August and these moves shouldn't necessarily be solidified as concrete, given that the trading session started like 12 hours ago?
No, Max.
I do. The only one to think that,
brother.
or is the market doomed because it's the first trading session of August?
I
haven't heard anybody mention that it's the first trading session of August.
The beginning of every month, you should be positive. Like going into a close.
I don't even think you need to be positive. I think you just need to be skeptical. I think you need to maybe be distrusting. If we were pumping aggressively August 1st, I would be like, is the monthly low in? Similarly to how August 1st is choppy, I'm going, I don't know. Are you just going to short? You're going to short aggressively first day of August right on the open and just, you know, it's going to get pummeled the entire month? Is that the game plan?
Yeah. No,
I'm just saying, I mean, Monday fake out, Monday open fake outs, quarterly open fake outs, yearly, like, I'd say before we start drawing doom fractals and talking about how we're in some like global meltdown, let's give it a little time to settle in. You know what I mean?
Well, Max, this is concrete. This is set in stone. It's the first day of August, brother.
Dude, it's chiseled into Plymouth Rock, bro. This
Hang on.
One thing I'm gonna say to this fractal that Tucker has there is that, like, if this happens, it shouldn't bother you that much. Like, you shouldn't be if you cannot stomach that drop, I think your positioning is not right now.
I know. I mean, I'll eat it, man. I will eat all the drawdown.
Look, I'll take 80% drawdown if it comes tomorrow. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
The point being is that everybody thinks that this is a good place to sell to buy lower, right? And I'm not talking about low caps or high risk. I'm talking about their high caps and low risk. That's what people are trying to sell. Like, people are like, I'm gonna sell my Bitcoin here to buy lower.
No, let's do justice.
Logically blows my mind. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna sell my shitter I bought 2 weeks ago and buy something else with it, that would make sense. But if you're like, oh, I'm gonna sell my Bitcoin and buy lower, like this is the dumbest statement I've ever heard.
I mean, what if it's this? Study Apple.
Bro, that'd be hell. We
This?
go up and then range for another 6 months.
I mean, what would we range from 90 to 73?
That's almost worse.
Tucker, I'm stealing the chart. Here's your Apple chart, bro.
Thank you for the love of God.
Max. No,
You
I
guys
did
are
it
just fucking
perfectly.
bared up to the gills today. Like
Jeez.
fucking
I just
August
drew a
1st, and you
fractal to
guys are doom
90K.
fractaling. You're charting minus 20% drops on the first trading session of August. Like I get it. The shit looks heavy. We probably go a little lower. Like Bitcoin probably fills that CME gap. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It just seems like
Max,
know.
can I get the chart, bro?
fucking nuke it then.
Okay.
I need the
Fucking
chart.
nuke it then. Do it. Nuke it, short it, nuke it. Do your thing.
Bro. What are we even talking about here, man? What are we freaking talking about? Like you recaptured the entire range and you guys are talking about 40 freaking K.
Whoa.
Literally just-
Relax. We're just playing out 2019 fractals. That's all.
Yeah, just playing out pandemic 2.0. Like, what are you talking
If we're still like down in the dumps in like 2 weeks,
That's what I'm saying. We got 2 weeks, man. We
like
really
you can't spend too much time down here, you know.
No.
But like
you have to understand time capitulation. Look, I'm going to show you guys something. So this is my IHS, and I think it's going to play here. But fuck that. Let's just talk about reality. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go to previous cycle.
Can you imagine though, Will, like
1,
the
2.
amount of pain that would be caused if we arranged here for 5 months and then nuked? You went through all of this pain just to be poor. Can you imagine that pain? Like that's the argument that pisses me off when people are like, yeah, like max pain is up. I'm like, no. Max pain is 100% always down. Like max pain is not up. I promise you that.
Do you know what's even more pain? If it drops, people sell and then it goes higher.
Yep.
And that's usually what happens. But
didn't that happen at 52K? That already happened at 52K. I already know 3 people in the freaking chat that like were like, "Oh yeah, I sold at 52. It sucks."
Yeah.
But lots of them bought back on this buyback.
We bought back.
are now underwater.
Maybe they get washed the second time. Maybe they keep washing people. But the point being is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I guess we can call that 3. You sat up here for 6 months. What makes you think that this thing is going to roll? This is called a trading range. This is called a top. A top doesn't last long. It does not last long at all. Top. I can go through the BLX too. Look, let's go to the BLX. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. And look, you know what? You know the part that everybody's missing? Everybody's missing this. Oh, look at all that trading range, guys. It's over. We're going to come down and swoop this right here and come back up. Did that ever happen? Did that happen?
I feel like you're mad at me when you speak.
Yeah,
absolutely not. We went
like
this way.
Disciplined.
we went this way. Look at 2013, guys. Like, quit. Like, just think about it. Okay. Look, same exact dip. Look. Let's go look at it. Let's zoom in. Look. Oh, guys, look. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna come back down lower again. What happened?
No, Will, I agree. There is always like a halving year kind of nightmare range scenario. So like for me, like I think max pain would be like really making people think that you did resolve this range to the downside, and maybe giving like if the beginning of August is bearish, I think the end of August into September is like giga bullish, and probably Q4 is giga bullish, right? But like if you like even us, right? Like if you make like Max and I think that this range is somehow resolved to the downside and then rip it, that's max pain, I think, truly.
But that's what we're getting. back to 62 is painful after you
But
just
I don't
said
think
70 a day ago.
I don't think we've resolved this range to the downside. And now that I know that, I'm never gonna think that, so it's fine.
Tucker, look at this though. Look at this. See this right here? See this drop? See this right here?
He's
See
got
this
his
drop
teeth in you, Tucker.
Hmm?
You're done for now.
right there. Look,
What do you mean?
trade
It's like
sideways,
Will's got his sights set
drop.
on you, man.
I know he's
Calling-
quizzing me
singling you
now.
out. Tucker, look.
Sideways.
Now
There's
you're
the
in
big
trouble.
drop. Oh look, there's the big drop. Oh look, over
Keep
here.
going.
There's the big drop. Oh look.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Like that's the monthly. That's the monthly.
So do you get basically one big monthly wick to the downside in all those previous cycles?
Yeah. Every
Let
look.
me go
even,
back to
even right here, big pull down.
go back to
breakout. Look.
2017. Where were you pointing to?
Oh no, so I was pointing at 2013.
Yeah,
Boom, drop, rip. Boom, drop, rip.
but like look at 17. What month is that with the big white candle with the downside wick in 17?
This one right here.
No, to the right. Next cycle.
Oh,
Right.
right in here. Hold on.
July of
14.
what is that? 16? Yeah. I kind of
Big
like
drop,
that.
rip.
Or yeah, one of those giant red monthly candles in 17. Like I think we're gonna run back 17 kind of to a T.
Right there. Look. Pull down,
that,
rip.
that. Yeah.
Here's
Pull
the thing.
down, rip.
I mean, this is just some classic, like, okay, let's provide a little bit more context. We talked about 2019, right? And by the way, that's like my biggest fear in this market right now is 2019. Like that genuinely is my biggest fear. And going back 6 months, I was very vocal about like people like to pretend like the 2019 Fed cycle didn't exist. And like we know exactly what crypto did during the 2019 cycle. Okay. We also know that this cycle has been kind of front running the obvious, right? It front ran the halving, front ran, it made an all-time high before the halving. Like there's been a lot of like speed attached to the very beginning part of this cycle. Okay. And there was a very obvious divergence between here. I'm stealing the chart back. We looked at that already. This is not what I want to show you here. Let me show you what happened in 2019. And this is like, I'm very aware of this. I'm not like, I don't see this. Like I'm not going to pretend like this doesn't exist. I've literally been watching this. Like I have been literally watching this scenario for months and I don't think it will play out necessarily, but I want to show you what it would potentially look like. Okay. So here's 2019. Here's Bitcoin on the left. Here's 2019. Here's the S&P 500. Let's mark out when Bitcoin topped versus the S&P 500. Okay. Here, let me readjust some time frames here. Okay. So here's Bitcoin topping, and then here's the S&P 500 on its merry way. There was a very clear divergence that occurred between Bitcoin and equities once Bitcoin topped. Okay. Like you can see it very, very clearly here. Like Bitcoin went down, equities went up, like lower highs on the higher time frame, still in an uptrend here. Okay. Like really, really obvious. And you could very much so make the argument that we've already seen that, and we're kind of like into that 2019 shit that Tucker he already fractaled it. You could make that case if you wanted to say, hey, like the Fed cut has been front ran. You could already do that, guys. You could literally do this. You could go, okay, very clearly, like higher highs, equities are still moving up. Oh, and look at Bitcoin still can't move up. You could make the argument, right? Like I'm very, very aware of the risks. And additionally, let's throw up the effective federal funds rate. Okay. So this is why people are talking about June of 2019 is because of this right here. Okay. Because look at when Bitcoin topped. It was right when we got the first Fed cut. We haven't gotten that yet. We're still a month and a half away. But if we are front running the obvious, then you could make the case that, you know, the market got out 4 months in front of the presumed September cut, and we're printing the same type of shit that we did over here in legacy, you know, just ahead of schedule, right? So if this was the case, then, you know, you would probably, you can't plan for COVID, right? But if this was the case, you'd probably get what Tucker showed, right? You would go down here, you know, to, you know, let's just say 50K or something like that. I don't know, but you'd get that. And then you would, you know, they'd stimulate the economy and you'd get like some QE. And what would happen with stocks is you'd probably come down here, retest the previous all-time high. That's a terrible line. You'd probably do this. You'd probably, why can't I get my damn trading view to work? You'd probably get this. You'd probably get like a big drop. You maybe even deviate below the previous high, you know, something like this. And then they probably print and everything moves up. And this just gets looked back on as one giant correction. You know what I mean? Something like this, like one still in an uptrend, you know, but we end up actually going much higher. It just gets delayed, right? But this is the 2019 example that everybody is talking about, is this very, very clear divergence in 2019, right as we were about to get cuts, when Bitcoin put in its top. Oh, that's so ugly. Here, let me change that line. Equities continue moving up. Bitcoin does not. So you would be silly to ignore that, hey, we might actually already be like right in here, right? It's never the same, you know, but it would be naive to assume that maybe we front ran this by, you know, maybe we front ran this and we're like right in here. You know what I mean? Because that's possible. Like we could already be literally like this could have happened. You know, you're not, I don't think you can plan for COVID, right? I'm just saying, like, you have to entertain this. I don't think this is where we're at. Like, at least I hope not. If it, like what Jack has said, if you can't handle another like pressuring of the lows, maybe it doesn't even have to go make a new low, but if you can't handle a pressuring of the low, then you're overexposed to this market. Okay. And that's the truth. And a lot of it has to do with positioning, right? But if we're in 2019, I would agree with what Tucker said. Like, we're not right here. Okay. We're not right here. If we are in the 2019 scenario, then in my opinion, we've dramatically front ran it. And this was probably right here. This was probably your drop on Bitcoin, you know, down here to like 54. Will we get a COVID and you actually go lower? I don't really think so, but you could for sure pepper the lows again, you know, because who knows what would have happened if COVID didn't exist, right? Like we don't know what would happen. This last part is a giant question mark to me.
Well, Max, just take a time from the top in June of 2019 to right before COVID happened. I already did it, so it's a quiz, but it's 230 days about. No. Like right, yeah, it's like 230 days. So if we were, because drawdown wise, it's kind of hard to tell because we corrected 50% in 2019, but Bitcoin was also like 10K, so 1/6 the price. So I'm not going to say it's going to be 1/6 the volatility, but we already corrected, 20 something percent. But time wise, that puts us out into the end of October, right before the election, before the cycle really gets started. So something to consider, right? Like if we chopped another few months, would you survive Anon, right? Type of thing. But
my only big hang up is like how contextually different, like how different this is because of like where the halving is. So
that's true. Yeah,
like
that's true.
this is hard to reconcile, right? Because you want to put a lot of weight in the halving, right? And it would be very strange for Bitcoin to like do this after Bitcoin halving. I mean, it's possible, right? But at the same time, it's like we could very much so ignoring what the Fed is doing, right? And just looking at the halvings, you could easily make the case that you're doing this as well, right? That you're just in this post-halving chop, which is like usually for 3 or 4 months. Bitcoin just does a whole lot of bullshit. Like let's even go back and look at the one before that. Look at what happened here. It was like 3 months before we actually, like, this was garbage. It maybe doesn't look like a lot because of what happened after. I promise you this was garbage. Like this was awful.
But Max, This also, look at this. It also lines up with the election, though, right? Like, the halving is black, the elections are purple. Like, after the election is really when you start to send, right? So that would be in November 2nd, and the other date we had was October 30th. That's some confluence. I know nobody wants to hear it, but that's some not for bearishness, just for more chop for 2 months.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, look, 2024 was never gonna be like the halving year is never the year that you just rip face. It's just not. It never has been. Like, look at the chart, right? It's always the year after. So, like, it's nice, and we had a good front run, and alt ripped face, and they probably still will, but that doesn't mean we're gonna study verticality in the next 2 months. That's all I'm saying. As
I mean, I
much as
think
I would like that.
since we're all kind of in the camp that it's not a cyclical top, it's kind of one of those things where we all feel pretty good that we're going to be ripping here in about 4 or 5 months after the new president gets elected. At least I don't think it's a cyclical ending. It's just kind of a matter of what happens in between, right? If it's going to be something kind of more like the 2015, 2016 period of price, then price doesn't have to dip. It could just keep chopping. If it's going to be like 2019, I'm kind of more in the camp with what Max said, that we'd probably be speed running that range. I'm kind of in the camp that Bitcoin and crypto as a whole are coming out of an echo bubble and about to enter a super cycle, right? So maybe that doesn't manifest in more tangible downside targets, but from a timing standpoint, I think, especially when you look at that 2019 to 2020 price action on Bitcoin and how it preceded a huge run up, that's kind of where I think Bitcoin and crypto kind of in their totality are at right now. Just kind of, we could have some shenanigans over the next few months, the next few weeks, whatever. But a few months from now, it's like we said, the bullish thematics for the next few years have really never been brighter. So yeah, I think it still is obviously a matter of timing, but yeah, we'll see what obviously equity markets do in the meantime.
Speaking of equity markets, the probabilities for the 0.5 basis point cut rose to 20% now.
Well,
They
that's why
keep
we're
on
nuking.
steadily rising.
Well, yeah, that's why we're nuking then.
Why was that? Because of the initial claims this morning, or is that something else?
Ooh, probably.
It
Probably
wasn't that
aligned
big of
to
a
it
miss,
as well.
though. It was like pretty negligible, honestly.
But it was like, I was watching it for the past like week, and it, like, at first there was no chance for a 0.5 basis point cut. There was like about 10% of no hike, then like 90% for 0.25 basis point cut. Now it's 80%. Then it was like 4% for, or it was like 4% for 0.5 basis point cut, 90 for, again, 0.25, and like 5%. And then it kept steadily rising. And I think like September is still very far away. It's still 1.5 months away, right? So I think that these probabilities will keep on fluctuating, but I think it's a possibility that we might be seeing a 0.5 basis point cut.
That would not be good. That would not be good.
don't-
Do you think
I
it
don't
has
know.
anything to
That
do with like
actually-
the like war stuff that's going on, Jackus?
No, I really
Potentially.
think it's just the yields basically dictating the Fed that what it's going to be. Like the bonds are selling off, which is why you see TLT pumping so much. Like, just check the 2-year yield, right?
Yeah. I will. One sec. Dude, all you got to do is make it to the election and we'll be fine. Okay, that's it on that.
You think I can make it to the election, Tucker?
Just don't
You think I have the
capitulate.
capacity, the patience to make it to the election? Are you out of your mind?
Nobody capitulate until the election and it's going to be fine.
I'm emotionally
Oh, God.
capitulating right now, Tucker. I can't wait any longer. My
I know, I
bags need to go higher.
I can't either, Max, but when I
Do you
have
guys know
to.
what the
Wow, who could have foreseen the top of yields? Somebody.
Okay, wait. I want to point out something with the 2-year, by the way. typically a recession doesn't start for equities until the 2-year is like
You're like
30 to
in here.
50% off of its high. So
Yeah, you're like in here. Oh god, that's
no,
not
like
what
that's
for.
where the problem would be, is like the 2-year needs to be like sub 3.5% at least, probably more like sub 3%. That's typically when like the turmoil hits. Like if you just put SPX on the bottom and look at that.
Yeah, no, I remember it's in this chop, but I will.
I like what Jace said. He says, I'm a mortgage loan originator in the US. Jake is, the housing market is dead. I've been doing this for 11 years. It's never been so dead. I think it's the same in Europe as well. Like banks, like the mortgage, like people cannot afford mortgages right now, or they don't even want to. The refinancing that will hit, right? Because there is lots of people that locked in for like 5 to 10 years. Those mortgages will be rolling over and they will have to refinance, but at like double the rate they had before. There is lots of problems with the commercial real estate in the US. I think that's a huge one. And all those loans will be rolling out next year. That's going to be tough. So I think, like, again, as I was saying, I think there is a macro upside for BTC. I wouldn't stress it out too much. But like there is so many things going on right now in the world, and it's just going to be super tough timing wise to play this, right? And not get like during the volatility, it's super easy to sell the bottoms and buy the tops and play it time wise well. Again, what I recommended to people, do not be all out, but do not be all in, and appreciate the risks that are there in the market right now.
Yeah, but is it fair to really come in and I know that some people are professional, mortgage people, house sellers, whatever you want to call them, but you're only
they're called realtors and mortgage loan originators.
Yeah, whatever, whichever. The point being is you're only exposed to the area you live in, right? Like you don't have exposure to the whole US. So I don't think you have enough demographic there to really kind of state that because your area is not doing too well, the whole US is not doing well. Because if you look at the numbers, like the numbers are stating the opposite, right? Houses are selling for ridiculous numbers. I'm not stating that it's fair pricing at all. And in addition to that, whatever you're locked into a lot of the time. People aren't refinancing their loans on residential housing. They're typically getting locked into a 30-year, 20-year fix, and they're just kind of hanging on to that positioning. They can go in and probably refinance later if they want to, but they're going to wait until rates are actually low before they end up doing that or refinancing their loan. So I don't know. Like I think
you are correct though. Like I watch the housing market pretty closely. Like there are certain areas that bubbled a lot harder and have mean reverted, to say the least. There are also a lot of other areas that have not budged at all, like have not budged. So it is a bit anecdotal, right? I don't know what area we were just talking about, but it's still super hot. Like I could tell you in my area that I live, like you still can't buy anything. Like I would say you have mean reverted a little bit, where it has gone from like a year ago, everybody if you were not a cash buyer and you were willing to waive the inspection and offer over asking price and just bend over and beg them to take your money just to have a chance of being considered to buy the house. That was a year ago. Okay. Right now, I feel as though you have a little bit of negotiating power, like just a little bit, right? Where you don't necessarily have to waive the inspection. You could get an inspection. You don't have to be a cash buyer, right? So things are kind of coming back to normal, but this is not, I watch the housing market really, really closely. This is not like to paint the picture that like the housing market is in complete shambles. That's inaccurate, right? Like maybe in your area things are different, but I can promise you, I still can't buy shit in my area. Like it is outrageous still, beyond belief. I hope it crashes because I want to buy a house
Vegas,
eventually.
Max. Like here in Vegas, I'll just give it a little example. Like I've been house shopping now for like 3-4 years, and like you are 6 months out from even getting a build, and you'll be lucky if you can get a contractor that'll do it because they're so busy right now. So I don't know. I think on real estate side, like I still think houses are hot. From what I'm seeing, obviously in my local area, and then across the country, there's also data and statistics for that, and that still looks hot too. But I mean, locally in some areas, they're going to suffer more than others. Las Vegas has turned into California 2.0 on housing costs. So,
I mean, wouldn't it be healthy for housing to just come down? I'm not saying like it coming down.
I agree. Look, I
don't
want
think
that.
it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter to the market in the same way that it did in like 2008. So wouldn't it just be kind of a sign of interest rates taking effect on housing?
Well, 2008 was, and Max, you can correct me on this, but I'm pretty sure when I looked into it, it was a banking thing. It wasn't like a default on loan. It was basically banks giving loans to people that couldn't afford them, essentially, and that's been cracked down on, from what I've seen.
Correct. We're not going to have a 2008 style housing correction where there's like a flash correction, right? The housing correction is going to be over a decade, because you have for every bit of housing inflation that we have, which is super, super real and prevalent, you also have some of the most complacent homeowners that we've ever had. People that are locked in on a 30-year fixed note at sub 3%. They don't care to go anywhere. That supply is effectively a liquid. Michael Saylor is basically holding those houses. They're not going to hit the open market. Okay. So you're not going to see, a bunch of people forcefully having to sell them and leave getting liquidated out of their houses. Okay. If we see a crazy, unemployment spike, and you see like 6, 7, 8, 10% US unemployment, you are going to see a lot of houses. You're going to see a lot of new supply hit the market. Okay. That's just always how it goes, right? Housing supply is correlated to the jobs market 100%. But at the same time, you have people that overpaid for houses, then their houses are no longer worth what they paid for them because the home prices have become so correlated to your mortgage rate. They're just going to sit on these houses forever and pay, 2.5% interest for the next 30 years. And it doesn't matter if their house is below their cost of entry. It doesn't matter because the bank doesn't mark to market the house and make you issue more collateral or something like that. So you have so many complacent home buyers that bought the top of the housing market with such a cheap interest rate. Their asset is no longer their house. Their asset is the mortgage rate. Like, they're living in this house and their asset is no longer the house. They are
cheaper than rent for them.
Underwater on their houses, but it doesn't matter because they can afford to wait 30 years on it to come back, and they will. So you're not going to see a 2008 style housing collapse. What you will see in the US is you will see a commercial mortgage, you will see a commercial investment property capitulation. That I'm confident in because I was still very, very active in multifamily investing and commercial real estate while the froth and the excess was happening. And it's the reason that I was able to get into the market when I did, because of how much excess there was. The difference between these commercial notes, investment properties, is that your mortgage rate is not locked in for 30 years like a single family home. Your mortgage rate is locked in for between 5 and, if you're lucky, 10 years, usually 5 to 7. Okay. So a lot of people overpaid for investment properties because they had too much money going on, too much money. They didn't know what to do with it, between SBA loans, stimmy checks, all these like government loans that were just being like, they literally gave you money. And people had way too much money. They didn't know what to do with it. They were overpaying for property, multifamily, office, retail, doesn't matter what it was. They just had to park the money somewhere. Okay. And the problem is that rents haven't actually gone up in like 3 or 4 years, at least in my area. In some of the buildings, rents have actually plateaued and gone down. Okay. All of these people bought the top of an investment property bubble basically in like 2021, 2022. And their rates on their commercial notes are like 3 to 4%. Okay. Now, the issue here is that they're going to be up for a rate adjustment in the coming like year to year and a half. A lot of these people, if by then they haven't, fixed a lot of the vacancy issues, or their rental rates haven't gone up and their rate is going to double, you are going to see a lot of these buildings basically go to foreclosure. You are going to see a lot of these like younger, under collateralized, like just got into the market, I'm a 30-year-old multifamily investor type of guys, lose their properties forcefully. That's the real estate capitulation that you're going to see in the US. It's not going to be single family. Okay. So here's the thing though. I still think they have plenty of time on it because we know that they're going to be up for a rate adjustment between 5 and 7 years on the early side from their point of origination. That was in 2021, maybe 2020 rates got kind of low. Okay. So we have until 2025, 2026, like unless you see an overwhelming amount of vacancies, they're not going to basically be forced to capitulate out of their properties from rate adjustments until like 2025, 2026. So everybody, I still think is just early on this idea. Like you're not wrong. You're just early on it. You're not going to see a single family capitulation. You're going to see a multifamily and investment property capitulation, but it's going to be in like 2 years. Okay. It's going to be in like 2 years. And I'm excited for that because I think we'll probably
Same
bubble
here.
before then. And then I get to go buy some investment properties again. So
You hit it. You hit it. That was my thoughts too, is make it this cycle and then start rolling properties before the next cycle starts up, and then take that equity and re-roll it back into assets before assets start to boom again. And it's a cyclical cycle that people don't really understand. It's a hot ball of money that just rolls and rolls.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of issues. It's just they're not. Everybody's looking at 2006 to 2008 and being like, yeah, it's the same. And it's like, it is not at all the same, not even close for a second. So if there is going to be some major like credit default, it's not going to be on like the single family homeowner side. It will be eventually like, it will be, in my opinion, in like 2 years, it will be commercial real estate that topples like 100%. I could see that. There's a lot of vulnerable property owners right now. Okay. But I don't know. I mean, could it be the banks? If it is, they'll get bailed out really quickly, you know? So I don't really see that being a huge problem. Like they won't let the banks fail again. So I know we've pointed numerous times to, yeah, banks are sitting on the most unrealized losses in like a decade or something. Yeah. Okay. So whatever, they're gonna get bailed out 100%. The banks always get bailed out. The banks are insulated forever. So I don't really think that's going to be the crux of any big recession. Maybe short term, you know, if you see a big bank go down, like short term, but they will get bailed out. Everybody gets bailed out. So who's it going to be? Like who got greedy? You know, who's gonna get smoked here? We already had a regional bank collapse. The market went up after that, right? What's gonna happen? Like what's gonna happen? I don't know what it would be. I don't know what it would be other than that.
I tend to agree. I think that just so many people try to point to just random things a lot of the time, and there's more to it than what's being discussed a lot of the time. I always hear like this one factor, and it's like, what about this other factor that affect that factor? And nobody really looks at it. And we also have to look at like humans are creatures that are intelligent, right? We're intelligent creatures a lot of the time, not always. But what I mean by that is when we make mistakes, we tend to learn to understand. Even creatures without intelligence, if they step in a fire, they know fire's hot, right? They learn, okay, don't go near the fire, don't touch the fire. It's the same thing when you make mistakes in the economy. The government learns from that. It understands, okay, we made this mistake once. How do we insulate so this mistake can never happen again? Like bank collapses, right? What do? Backdoor QE. We call it whatever we want. Hey, some people are like, it's a loan, it's not QE. When you support somebody with fictitious money that they never had available, where they should have collapsed, that's QE. Doesn't matter if it's in the factor of a loan or if it's in the factor of giving them the money. And what I'm saying is like, these are different ways the government has figured out tricky ways to be able to keep things from collapsing. Now, will there be some new way that they don't foresee coming? Sure. I think every once a decade, I pointed this out the other day, 2000.com, 2008 collapse, 2022 after the pandemic not 2022, 2020 or 2020, 2019 after the pandemic, and so on and so forth. Every decade, there's always something funny that happens, and nobody foresees it coming. I think we're still like a whole cycle away from that.
I kind of think the cause of the next recession it will be in like obviously 2 to 4 years at some point. But I think it'll probably be people just levering up
Yes.
super hard on like big tech and stuff like that. Probably there's going to be a bit of like dollar devaluation narrative baked into it as well. But I think for the most part, it's probably just going to be like people are going to lever up. It's probably going to be on something. If the last year is any indication, it's more than likely going to be on something like big tech stocks like Nvidia. And that's probably what the cause will be. Just assets all kind of getting overvalued.
Yeah, and it sucks to be talking about this stuff on a red day because I feel like it's better to talk about it on a green day. But this is us just kind of explaining, like, you know, we can theoretically say, oh, why it should go lower. These are the reasons why it's going to happen. But I think talking in definitives never made sense to me, especially after being a trader for such a long time. Talking in support and resistance makes more sense to me than talking in definitives of where price should go versus where it is and where the next support is or resistance. And you were here, Tommy. Like I agreed with you on the show. I said we were going to reject at 70 something K. I agreed. I was like, yeah, we probably will. I was like, I definitely saw that. And I posted before we even got to 70 something K. I said 62 to 58 is your max pain. I stand by that. I still believe that 62 to 58 is your max pain. And if we break that range, then hey, I got to be bearish, right? We're probably looking at low 40s then. But you would need to break 58K theoretically as the low. And if you break that range, you're probably cooked.
Well, from a bull standpoint, we've seen at least ETH print this exact same structure that I'm looking at on Bitcoin right now, where you get the 3 drives, you sweep the lows of the 3 drives, and then you eventually go higher. I think that's the bull case, is that you're looking to carve out a higher low here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 3 drive was obvious, man. That was, we all should have. I mean, that was 1, 2, 3, boom. Like,
yeah. But here's the thing too. If you scroll out, it's been 1, 2 to the lows, right? You have 1, 2, 3 there.
Are you saying these lows are so hard? Like, are we doing like here's a low,
Yes.
here's a low, here's a low, here's a low? Like,
I wouldn't even count really the second
like
one you got there,
2?
But those extreme ones, right? So that first initial dump, then the second initial, then the second big dump right there, and then the third big dump where you have it right there. I think that those are kind of your important.
You think it's like these
ranges.
3 right here?
Yep, those 3 right there. I think that those are the ones that matter, and you can see right there. Look, that one's almost like an inverse head and shoulders. Each area is almost like an inverse head and shoulders. And I think that we're going to play into that 62 to 58 and we're going to run this thing back up. The question is that the breakout?
You're saying we're going to do this.
Yes, exactly.
And there's here, and there's here, and there's here. Yeah.
That's my thoughts completely. And that would help too, like just how you have it drawn, just to remain relatively
100% what I'm expecting, by the way, Will. Like Tucker, if you drew real quick on that low, the first low where you have the swoop, right, like the left shoulder.
This, like that.
No. Like right there. Yeah. Just draw on the bottom, like
this?
a horizontal line from that left shoulder that you have right there. Down the left shoulder. Like down, like the actual, like the bottom of the left shoulder. Like, yeah, right there. Like that fills the CME gap too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's relatively the range I'm looking for.
I mean, that's what you need to have happen. Like it needs to hold from here down to, 58 basically. Like then you're good.
If it holds 58, to me, this turns into an inverse head and shoulders, right? And that means you got support where you had support previously on the left. Like go down to the 25 to 30, or sorry, not 25 to 30, the bottom of Bitcoin. You had a very similar move there. The very bottom, very, very bottom. So you can see right there, you had that big drop from the FTX collapse. And then on the right, you recaptured the zone, right? And then you had the 3 drive high, and then you had the pullback to that range. So that's the W formation at the low, right? And then you broke out on that area over there where it says 2023, basically, right above where it says 2023.
Mhm.
So follow that up. And that's your breakout, right? And then you came all the way back up to the high. Over there, yep, all the way back up to the high, and then you pulled all the way back into the range, and then you ripped. And if you draw a line across those lows, right where you came back and retested, like, yeah, that's pretty much your POC. That's where the most price activity happened. That's the same thing where we are right now. The most price activity is happening at the lows, right in that similar range. So if you draw a line right across those 58K, 60K range, basically 60K is what I would say. The 60K range, that's where your most price activity happens. It doesn't mean you can't deviate either, right? But you have a lot of taps in that range and a lot of activity. There's a lot of price interest, so they keep hovering back to it. They did dip below it, but they keep pulling back to that range. And it's like a magnet essentially, right? Until it's not. And then once the bid creates enough bidding space, you'll start to see that range start to slowly get shifted away, and you'll see the market shift up. And then we'll move to the next range of activity. I don't think for a second that we sat here for 6 months and we're going to run it down. And I showed that on the high time frames on the monthly. So once you recapture a range, you should not be anticipating a range break. Although if you want to entertain it, have it in your cards as a potential, and like look at the market and be like, all right, if it breaks here, now I need to watch for, oh shit, we're going a lot lower. But until that breaks, like I would be pretty confident this is going to stay support.
Yep. I like it.
It's all about activity for me, man. Like, where is the most activity in the chart? It's between that 60K and that 70K range. So you should expect the 70K to hold even with deviations. And you should expect, or sorry, not 70K to hold, 70K to resist even with deviations. And you should expect the 60K to hold even with deviations.
I mean, that's your gap fill right there, right? So that would be fine. But
Tucker, can you draw a profile from like basically the beginning of when we ripped from like 10K to 60K to now? I'm because I know the volume distribution on the profile used to be super skewed to the bottom. I'm kind of wondering if it's
here?
like what it looks like now after, what it looks like in aggregate now that we've been in a range up here for like 5 months.
I always have a hard time with profiles, man. They have this tricky way where they always want to stick to the like bottom range of the freaking chart.
I mean, this is
that's a good thing, I would say.
But often it doesn't reach.
I mean, it's a good thing that the volume up here isn't higher than it is down there, is what I was saying.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So that's a high to low?
I mean, that's from like 10K. Wait, do you want it to stop?
No.
I just wanted to see what the aggregate profile looked like, because the value area has always been kind of where it's residing right now, and we've been ranging up here for like 5 months. I just didn't know what it looked like now in relation to it before the move. But
what do you think, Tommy, of us setting up here for this long? I want to get your thoughts on
that. I mean, I think it's just I know there are a lot of conspiracy theories as to why we're kind of like just heavy up here. I think
outside of conspiracy, what do you think?
No, I think it's just kind of as simple as like you have a bunch of really ancient holders of Bitcoin that have probably been taking the opportunity to sell into this liquidity, and it's just taking a lot of time to digest all that. At the end of the day, we've seen it with tech stocks already within this cycle. Like some of them were ranging up near all-time highs even longer than Bitcoin has been. So I just think there's supply that we are chewing through right now, not just ancient whales and Bitcoin and crypto, but also I'm sure there are people who bought the Coinbase IPO top a few years ago. They're like, okay, well, I made my money back. I'm more comfortable exiting now than holding through the future, because there are always people that psychologically will think that way. But yeah, I just think we're chewing through supply slowly but surely, and the reinforcements, the cavalry, whatever you want to call them, they're on the way here over the next few months, next few years.
What do you think about that support range? I think it's pretty interesting personally, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. Like, I could see a higher low. It is after all early in the month. I'm probably leaning more towards a deeper correction at this point, just because it looks like we might be putting in a lower high on the, like, when I look at those tops. But I think wherever we kind of get spat out here in August or whenever it is, that it's like, it's probably the last opportunity to buy some of these coins for at prices this low forever, quite honestly. And I think Jackus has kind of been communicating basically the same. You know, if you get some of these dips on coins that where Bitcoin does make another low, there's no reason that we should be going back below there again. So I'll be taking advantage if we get them.
Yes.
So you're saying it's a buying opportunity?
Yeah, no, I'm looking for dip buys. I don't view it as like a.
So you're not selling here to buy lower?
I mean,
that.
depends on
He said, I mean.
So you sold here to buy lower?
I mean, I've been pretty open about the fact that I am holding some cash right now.
Leverage positions or spot positions?
I'm definitely not levered long. No.
No.
But
I'm
also,
saying, what are you making capital with? Are you selling spot or are you?
I sold some spot on what I thought were some underperformers a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Still holding.
Did you reposition or cash?
What?
Did you reposition any of that or cash?
I mean, still just cash. I mean, most of it for me is like, I wasn't even really that interested in shorting up here either. I think because it's like the cost of being wrong. Bitcoin does get the range reclaim. You squeeze, you're above the highs. What supply exists? Price discovery, right? You probably send. But if we roll over, I felt like it was nice to have some asymmetric hedging opportunities, which I think the market's provided with how cheap puts on majors have been for Bitcoin and ETH. And of course, in the equity markets, TLT was just, I mean, brutally underpriced, I felt like, for options.
And I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just kind of curious on how you're positioning here. Could you draw a channel there, Tucker? I feel like it'll give more substance to this move.
What do you even call, like, it's kind of a megaphone.
No, it's a channel, bro. Just trust.
No, it's not like a megaphone would be bearish or anything. I'm just saying, like, I will. One sec. We got to do
that's what I was trying to get to.
I know where you're going. Well, I always know where you're going with it. Trust me. I know where you're going. There's kind of your midline of this. So it's not quite a channel, like it is kind of expanding. But I mean, that's a continuation. Megaphone, in my experience, is a continuation pattern. So if we're just gonna go based on chart patterns, like, I like what I'm seeing here, but that would mean that you have a little bit more downside, maybe, and then you get your IHS. You know,
here's the point I wanted to get to with that. If you catch a bid at the mid range and catch support, this shit's gonna send.
Well, I'll tell you where you're gonna catch support right now. Will, right there. Oh man, we're there. Oh boys, hang on. Oh yeah,
boys, we're pumping.
Oh boys, we're struggling.
I feel like if equities stop selling, then Bitcoin will form a higher low here. Like that.
Are you guys thinking there's a decent chance that the August monthly high has already been set?
I think the August monthly low has already been set.
No, that's not what I asked. I said, would you bet money that the August monthly high has already been set?
Never. No.
Do you think that's a high probability?
Very confident betting on it, but
what percentage would you attach? What type of probability would you attach to that being the outcome?
Hang on, let's check the high real quick. Let's check.
I want to hear some answers here, guys.
Hang on.
What's your conviction level that the August monthly high has already been set?
Okay, there's the monthly chart.
That it's been set?
That this month we will not go above the current high of
Bro, that's a
It's
pennant
last
on the
night.
monthly. I'm not gonna fade
yeah.
that.
It's like 3% away
Well, that's
on
what I'm
majors.
asking is like it's the first trading session of August. What type of probability do you guys attach to the high of August already being in 12 hours into the trading session?
10%. 10%.
Yeah, I think that's a
0.
fair probability, probably like 10%.
Okay. So if you're panic selling today, guys, do you think that that's smart?
You talking to the audience?
Given that we have the biggest bull in the room and on the team are most skeptical, both in agreement that there's about a 10% chance that we stay below the I guess current August high of about 65K.
Yeah, I think it's plus you have to look at the tightening here, man. Look at the monthly bodies.
Yeah, I know.
They are literally tightening.
That's why.
we are like in the pinch.
Will, that's why you gotta study the line chart alpha.
Bro.
It's
Pennant.
alpha. I know. Look at it.
Fucking pennant, bro.
Look, the line chart is high key alpha. Look at that. What are we talking about? Look at that thing.
Connect the three tops there, Tucker.
What 3 tops?
With the diagonal,
On-
are you saying?
On the line chart.
We didn't quite get there.
You know what they say about the 4th tap?
Yeah, bust on through.
Listen, it's
wide open.
It's a giant cup and handle in creation.
I mean, yeah, low key. You got your handle form, man. Handle form. We've had enough forming of the handle. Okay, I'm done with forming the
pennant,
handle.
bro. That is a pennant.
We've done
about
too
to blow
much
out.
handle forming. See ya.
We are-
Study the line chart, dude. Seriously. Line chart's sick. Hang on. Oh no. Get rid of that.
I know what fractal that is.
No, don't say it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jackus. All right, let's just.
It definitely was not the
That was
NASDAQ
a glitch in
fractal,
the
so
chart.
just everyone
Trading View is
relax.
fixing it.
Hang on, let's just study the line chart. All right, so 2021 was literally a straight line up, which is hilarious.
That's what it's going to be soon. What do you mean? It's literally going to be the same thing real soon.
Literally just study QE. I mean,
Look at 2017. Tucker, look at 2017. It's the same thing.
Here's what we're gonna do.
And again, NVIDIA added almost twice Bitcoin's total market cap in under 24 hours. I think people need to kind of recalibrate their cyclical targets for Bitcoin highs.
That's crazy, dude. That is crazy.
I mean, Tommy, we're still looking at like a 3 or 4x. All right.
I mean,
That's not enough for you, though, Will.
It means more than a 10x.
That's why I'm not buying Bitcoin.
Posted you with
I'm
your
buying
own
other
logic,
things right now.
Will. Come on.
Wow. I mean,
I'm buying Bitcoin beta.
You buying puppets? I need a Chad sweep.
Bro, I am buying.
I do too.
Bro, there's so much capitulation in the ordinal rune sector. I know they're gonna swindle people into buying that shit again. I know it's gonna happen. So like I'm all in. Let's do it. Let's run it.
Well, it's getting close to me like Chad sweeping puppets. I don't even care if they go lower.
Tommy, you need to do that, bro.
I like the tech.
I only bought one because Chimp bullied me into it, and I just kind of forget that I even have it. It's just sitting there, just in case Chimp ends up being right. He probably already sold though, didn't he?
Wait, no,
He
you should
sold and
buy
bought an
his.
engagement ring.
What a dude. That should be illegal.
I've been watching his puppet get passed
He
around.
sold it to buy an engagement ring.
Max, buy his puppet.
Oh,
buy his old puppet.
Puppet get passed
Let's
around
keep
on
it
the
still.
floors.
Is his old puppet for sale?
Oh my god!
It was.
It was.
His puppet picked up the Snickers.
I bought it one time to mess with him, and then I sold it.
You guys could never take mine off me, man. It won't happen.
I don't see it right now. I don't think it's listed.
Tucker, are you feeling pretty good about your entry price on the rare one?
Yeah, man. Good entry.
Check entry, good entry.
Dude. Let me
I
pull it
don't know,
up.
man. I still don't think Nancy bought the top here. I don't think
Nancy
she did at
doesn't buy
all.
tops. She forms tops.
Yeah.
Dude.
But I think here's what I think with Nancy. I think she's got some kind of legislation she can rid her roll out. I really do. There ain't no way in hell that woman went in and bought all that freaking NVIDIA and has no plans to pump that shit.
Dude, she's the best trader in the history of the world. Like,
She should
she's
be in
good.
prison for the shit she does. It's
Nah, bro.
absolutely
She should be
incredible.
managing my capital for how well
Yeah.
she does. I would let
Literally.
her manage my money. Nancy can absolutely manage all of my money. I'll turn my brain off.
Is
You
there
Can
an
we get a Nancy
that-
Pelosi ETF?
Is there an
I would
ETF that
invest.
does like Congress trading picks or whatever? Who's building this?
There should be. There should be.
Should we do that? We would make so much money if we did that.
Yes.
You know, it would be crazy if they
Yes.
started pumping and dumping the market. Like they buy something, no everybody follows them in, and they sell, and then they
I
buy
was thinking
something, no
about that,
everybody.
Will.
That's what I was thinking. Like buy the stock spot and then buy some puts at the same time.
Oh yeah, here she
Oh,
is.
man. Buy for the long term while shorting her ass on the way.
Here she is, guys. This is good tech. Hang on. This. Oh no. Yeah, there she is. Study. Study
Hold on,
good
how do you
tech.
know whether that's a she or a he or an it?
Whoa.
You can't
It's
miss
theoretics.
You
Don't
can't
misgender the
my
puppy.
guy.
Don't misgender the pup. Oh, it's the hat. It must be the hat.
It's
That's
the Bitcoin shirt and it's the whiff hat, Will.
Okay.
That thing.
Speaking of the coin that just has a hat, can we put it on the chart?
10 Bitcoin, anyone. 10 Bitcoin. You can take it off me right now.
That will sell for multiple Bitcoin at one point.
You can take
I
it off
know.
me right
It's
now.
real. Oh man, the line chart.
Some
Oh,
Will's
God.
getting woke on us. Look at over.
This is the Binance chart. Is there? Yeah, give me Mexi non-log. That didn't play out. Wow, this line really just smacked it again. That's kind of crazy. The arbitrary trend line.
I feel like it looks like Bitcoin though, man. I look.
Where?
I honest to God, like, look. I honestly think this is gonna rip. I think it's gonna. I think it goes lower, but I think it's gonna rip.
Will, your confidence to look at this chart and go, it's gonna rip, blows my mind.
Look, no, but listen. Hear me out. Hear me out. I think
I'm
it's
not
going-
saying you're wrong, Will. I'm just saying, like,
I think
it
it's
looks
going a
cooked.
hell of a lot lower.
It looks
But I
cooked.
think it's going to rip. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the Pepe playbook when it first got absolutely demoed, right?
It's Sol beta, bro. Like, if Sol pumps, I'm sure it will pump. But it's like right now, I'd probably wait for it to hold just a little bit, you know.
Well, wait. What? Why do you think it looks like Bitcoin, Will? Or where do you
I
think?
kind
it
of see
looks
what he's
like?
talking about.
You see
But
it
where?
Like the
Wait.
range.
Tommy, Wave
The range-
is legit that Solana in
is.
2022
I
May.
know. I saw it too, Jack.
Like I said, I think it goes lower. I do, but I think it's going to break out like Solana did, right? In 2022, 2023, and I think it's going to start ripping off of that low.
Wait.
So I
think
agree.
it'd
I
be
think it's
dumb
like Solana.
I think it'd be dumb to outright forget about the dog that currently only has a hat, but eventually will be the dog with the hat once again. But I do think it'll probably come down a bit more before it does that. That looks like a pretty textbook downtrend.
Look, I'm not saying I would buy here, right? But I think if you get in the $1.50 range, it might be something to look at.
Jackus, what do you think about the whiff chart playing out what Ave did as well as INJ?
Where from?
I know the Ave price action that you have kind of overlaid on INJ. Like it's Ave from
Oh, that was AVOX that I overlaid on INJ.
Tucker, can you go to Ave?
Did we real quick, Tommy? Did we ever
USD.
get the sphere, or did that not never happen?
No, it never got listed on the Spear.
Bruh.
What about everyone that donated?
Post DeFi summer, you're gonna need the Binance.
They got the money. What do you think happened?
They just stole everyone's money.
Millions, bro. Apparently,
who got their money?
I saw like an article from the people who received the money, and they tried to say like, "Oh, we still had the money."
Yeah, it'll give you the full price history.
It's like, how long are you?
Hang on. Who took the money for the dog with hat?
They haven't spent it. It's just
I know, but who's holding the money? Like, who has it?
The WIF multi-sig.
Who controls that?
Handsome. No.
The WIF team, I guess. Decentralized.
Imagine if he's earning a yield on that, bro. Imagine if he's earning yield on millions of dollars of people's money.
Wait, so what are you talking about here, Tommy?
I think your best case for something like WIF is that it's just doing something super elongated, like AVE, an AVE structure.
The downtrend is what he's talking about.
Yeah, this part. So like,
we're still in that downtrend. That's why I said $1.50. Somewhere's in there. I think you'll find support.
It's not exactly the same, but
I
have a hard time seeing WIF just do a full-blown reaccumulation range like Sol did. I think it's more likely you get something like that because clearly the bid on WIF off every low is still pretty strong.
Well, where is this then?
Yeah, that's a little bit hard to reconcile.
You know what I mean? Wait, no.
See that green wick there, Tucker, where they pulled all the way down at like 50 cents to $1 on WIF? That's where you're heading to.
I do think for some of these coins, we've reached the point where it's more likely that their downside is just going to be bleed rather than elevator candles because they're kind of out of forced sellers.
Their downside is delisting.
That's it right there, Tucker. That's what I'm looking for, bro.
Jackus wants to steal the hat off the dog's head completely.
No.
I would. I mean, you.
No, I don't care about it, to be honest. It's just that like I've seen so many people shilling it. It's you know what it is.
I mean, people honestly did the same thing on Pepe too at the lows, and it did play out for them. I think it'll come down a lot here, and then it'll hit its support range and start to accumulate. It just you can see accumulations to range starting to form there. I don't think it'll V-shape though, like Ave.
I mean, really, you can't go back down here, right? So like this kind of has to be the floor. So it's like, you know, because it's not perfect, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but like where is this structure on WIF? It's like right here. So I mean, basically, like all you're doing is setting up a nice Euro scalp like this.
A nice Euro scalp to infinity.
Yeah, there's your WIF trade right there. That's it. Study Ave.
Well, we're hitting our targets on Bitcoin. I think we're at 62.9 right now.
Hold up. Are we how's the like button looking, boys?
That's a good question. Funny enough for AVE, it's like when I was just getting started in crypto and I'd only heard about like Bitcoin, ETH, and Dogecoin, I had no knowledge of how to play altcoins at all. But I was following this dude and he's like, yeah, AVE just printed a 500x in the span of 5 or 6 months. This is crypto. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm just holding ETH. I gotta learn a lot more about this clearly because there's so much opportunity here. But yeah, I feel like AVE is just kind of like the prototypical crypto that ran super hard off the bottom. People giga-mated on it, and then yeah, it's literally the type of coins that you want advertising in the space at the end of the day.
Hold on, guys, we got to do something real quick. I know the show's almost over, but
no,
they deserve it. Yeah,
Tommy used to hold.
Let's finish the show out with this. We'll finish the show out with this because they don't deserve any more alpha today.
That's kind of true.
ETH was the first coin I bought. Actually, I bought it around Christmas time in 2020, and yeah, it went up like 100% in 2 weeks, and I was like, "Oh, crypto is pretty awesome."
You say ETH was the first coin you bought?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty ironic now.
Wait. Do I hear that the biggest ETH father in the universe, and his first coin was ETH?
I think this is all starting to make sense to me now. I think that
It does.
ETH broke Tommy's heart, and he just has a thing about ETH now.
It's like that one girlfriend that you can never forget from high school.
Yeah, like he
What
got
was your
dumped at
first
prom
coin
or
you guys
something.
bought?
He got dumped at prom by ETH, and he just will never forgive ETH.
What was that,
What
Jack?
was your guys' first coin that you bought in crypto?
XRP.
Bitcoin.
You joking, Will?
No,
I don't believe you.
I'm serious.
I think Tucker's
Hold
was
on.
XRP too.
I was part of the cult for a while.
Mine?
Oh my god.
No, I'll tell
And
you mine
Max,
right
you?
now.
Well, no.
Mine was
It
like
was Bitcoin then XRP, but then I switched from Bitcoin to XRP.
I'll show
Mine
you mine
was
right now.
mine was
There.
Bitcoin.
There it is.
Wait, you were gonna say something else. I know it.
Me?
Yeah.
No,
You
it was
were like-
Bitcoin.
Thinking, and then like, I'm rather gonna say Bitcoin.
No, it was Bitcoin on Coinbase. Real simple.
Wait, they don't even have the PA. Hang on.
And you, Tucker, what was your LTC?
Yes, it was Litecoin.
Oh god, that's disgusting.
Wow.
Where's the
Chart hack
Yeah.
Chart hack for everybody who didn't know: Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but any coin USD on Binance will have the entire price history.
Hold up. So this is where that's true. This is where I bought Litecoin. And then I'm pretty sure this is where I sold it right here.
That makes sense.
The round trip or
Study
Oh,
learning
shit.
the hard way, man.
Anyways, guys, I gotta run. See you later.
See you, Jackus.
See you,
No, I had
Jack.
ETH baited that I did something like that with. Fun fact, guys, my first Twitter account used to be nothing but like one of those DeFi fanboy shills. It's kind of funny to look back on, but if you know the ticker, and Max and Tucker know the ticker,
I know the
but if you
ticker.
search for it on that account, you can see all of my embarrassing tweets where I would just fanboy this coin that literally got zeroed out.
Mm,
I think we're gonna do a CTO of that coin, okay?
yeah.
God. I don't even, let me check to see if it even has like a Dex screener page anymore.
You'll have to go to Dex Tools. They account for coins with no volume.
Hold on, let me see it. Oh my God, it's still alive. It's 500K market cap now.
Should we ape?
Good opportunity.
Sounds like a discount, yeah. Oh no.
All right,
All right.
guys, let's call it. It's time.
Yeah. We've been running for about an hour and a half. It's a great show, guys. We will continue to see how we trade into the end of the week, really the start of the month. Will we carve out a higher low here on Bitcoin and equities, or will we continue to slide? Find out next time. Well, I guess Will kind of left us here. He didn't want to hear my outro again. But either way, guys, a few notes before we officially wrap up. Reminder that we have launched our brand new hedge fund, BB Wealth Management. That is a fund designed, of course, we're investing in digital assets, but it is designed in a way that looks to capture the asymmetric upside of the digital asset space as a whole, and its history of asymmetric returns, as well as the investment risk posed in any financial market. So if becoming an LP or an accredited investor is something that interests you, we have information linked in the description of this video below. And we are excited, not just that we can trade it as a team, but also that we can offer you guys the opportunity to be a part of it as well, especially if you've been here with us, basically since we got started. Some of you guys have been here for like a year and a half or more at this point, which is super cool to see. But of course, we also have launched BB Academy. It's been a few months since we did launch it, but as I say on a pretty much daily basis, you will be very, very hard pressed to find a better course in any corner of CT, in my opinion. I mean, to be able to learn from so many different traders with so many different styles, it's truly invaluable. So, no, I would I would definitely put it up against any other course that you see on CT, and ultimately it is a tremendous value add to your trading. If maybe you're a beginner, you're trying to form that educational base, or maybe you're trying to take your trading to the next level. In both instances, this course is just for you. It's perfect. But moving on to our programming, guys, Market Check. If you enjoyed today's show and this was your first time tuning in, welcome. We are live with a typical start time around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We run for about an hour to an hour and a half whenever the New York Stock Exchange is open. And like I said, we are live every single weekday. So we will be back tomorrow morning for another episode at the same time. But don't forget about Market Talk, which is our afternoon show. A Twitter Spaces hosted by the legendary King Wabi. It's a bit more of like a fireside chat, right? Conversational. Always has some great guests on, and the conversation is always equally as compelling as the guests. But that is it from us, guys. We hope that you enjoyed the show. We will see you all for another episode tomorrow morning. And as always, stay safe, and thanks again.